So it seems a number of people really got interested in my thoughts on the controversy with Honkai Star Rail when it comes to the presentation of 3.0's story. And I also heard from a number of people really wanted more of my in-depth thoughts. So here you go. Unscripted while it's over some gacha game. Alright, so for starters, the presentation from some people being 1 out of 10, that's absolute bullshit. Okay, let's be a little fair. People are entitled to think how they want to think, but at the same time, it's just like people compare the cutscenes, not necessarily the cutscenes, just the overall story to something like Wuthering Waves, where the character animation is much more fluent and such when it comes to it. Now, regarding that, people saying that the presentation is 1 out of 10 because, oh, it's not as good as Wuthering Waves. Okay, that is bullshit, okay? It is bullshit. Yes, Wuthering Waves is better, but that doesn't suddenly make it infinitely worse. Like, come on. Come on, let's be real here. If we wanted to be completely honest, the presentation at most is a 5 or a 6, okay? Okay, let's stop being overly dramatic about this. It's not that horrible. Then again, what do I know? I was raised on PS2 games like Persona 4, one of my all-time favorite games, and that doesn't have many animations when it comes to character movement. But I digress. The reason there is some merit to saying that the presentation could be better. I do agree. Could it have better character animations besides like putting their hand on their chest or their hand on their head? Yes. Would it be nice? Yes. Is it needed? No, not really. As long as the story itself is interesting, that's really all that matters. Now, that's it when it comes to the in-game character animations for when they're just talking. Now, another thing I will say has a bit of merit, though, again, overblown, are two things. One is the constant fade to black. I do think that is a little bit overdone, but at the same time, it doesn't really bother me. But if even Honkai Impact 3rd and Genshin show the characters like touching like their forehead or such, it's like you can show that. Come on, it's not that bad. It's not the worst thing, but it is something that can be improved slightly. Now, one thing I do absolutely agree with is that 3.0 definitely could have used more still image CGs. When we are going through Amphorius, and we are learning like the background lore of the Titan and having this little water fairy explain things to us, it's not the best it could have been. Even I, as someone who doesn't really look at these things with a critical eye, I'm just like, you could show some still images. I do think we need more still images when it comes to a lengthy lore explanation, because that talk went on for like, I want to say 5 to 6 minutes, and we're just looking at a little water fairy talk. It could be better. It honestly, just have still images. Now, one criticism I absolutely don't agree with is someone suggested, oh, they should do, like, a whole animated cutscene explaining how the Titans form the world and such. It's like, yeah, that would be cool. But the thing is, you're asking for an animation that would take up around 4 to 5 minutes, which the only time I can think that's happened is for special cutscenes in Honkai Impact 3rd. Expecting a full animation on the level of like when Genshin Impact ends a story arc and you get this gorgeous animation explaining things and showing things for like 2 to 3 minutes. That's at the end of a story or a story arc. And it's meant to leave a lasting impact on you. Why would they use up so much time, budget, and animation for just explaining things? Things most people are not going to remember off the top of their heads, because let's be real, at least the way they explained it, the Amphorius background lore, it's a little complicated. So it's best to save that animation budget for action scenes or for really big plot important moments. Which, by the way, I don't know if anyone else noticed, but we got quite a number of in-game animations. Like when we went to the temple and it showed this animation of like characters like walking. I don't know how to describe it. It was an animation that only lasted for like 5 seconds, but I did notice there was more in-game animation for important or minor moments, like when Aglaia tied Don Hung and the Trailblazer's hand. That was animated. So I definitely think they're actually showing more animation when it comes to the story. Speaking... Oh, wait, no. Before I lose track of that point. So I do not agree that, like, that we need this huge, gorgeous animation budget for, like, explaining lore. That's a little too greedy, okay? I heard a criticism of like, oh, they make all these animations on like YouTube and such. Why can't they do that in game? Yeah, they do that for the purpose of advertising. You're not gonna get it as hard. You know what? I'm gonna move on, or otherwise, I'm gonna go into a tirade. Now, what was the next thing I wanted to discuss off the top of my... Oh yeah, the length of the story. Okay. Here's the thing. I will admit, the story is incredibly long. But the thing is, the story was very entertaining for the most part. And honestly, after I heard how long the story is, I was just waiting for the part when things would calm down, because it starts off very strong and only the pacing slows down when we save the city and we're getting to know the city, which I knew was gonna happen. It's a brand new planet. Of course they want us to get familiar with things, so of course the pacing has to slow down for a bit. That I didn't have problem with. And besides, Aglaia's interrogation definitely kept me on my toes. That's for sure. And when it comes to... Actually, no. There is one thing I do think the pacing could have been better on. And that was how Herta was handled. She only shows up at, like, the very end for, like, the last, I think it was hour of the story. And it just feels like they could have or incorporated her a bit earlier into the story. Because as is, it's like, oh, this is her big banner, this patch. She only has like 30 minutes of like screen time, and it's a bit jarring, but you know, I get it. Everyone's already familiar with Herta, or although maybe not even that, because the Herta, the true Herta, is actually quite a bit different than her puppets, that's for sure. So I don't think the pacing is nearly as bad as people want to say it is, because here's the thing you guys have to understand, and I'm not sure if you watched the live stream, but during the 3.0 dev live stream, the developers said that this story is going to go on for like the entirety of 3.0 all the way to like, what, 3.7, 3.8? Basically, it goes like, we're basically going to be here for most of the year, not just, this story is not going to end from what I see in 3 to 4 patches like Penacony did. This is going to be a long story. Now that said, and I might make a separate video on this and go into it in more detail, I do think we need some kind of visual checkpoints similar to something that FGO or Honkai Impact 3rd has, that lets us know how far are we into the story and when does the story end. Because not just for streamers, but for people that are just like, oh, I'll get in a little bit of this, little bit of that each night, and then suddenly they're just like, wait, it's still going? When do I have a checkpoint? Again, it's something minor, but I will say when it comes to me playing Honkai Impact 3rd, it's very, very important in letting me know, okay, this is a good stopping point. So I do think if they're going to have the story go on as long as this for every patch, we need some visual markers / visual checkpoints instead of just only showing it like at the end where it's just like, stay tuned in big golden orange letters. We need to have like Act 1 of Chapter 3 done, Act 2 of Chapter 3.1 or such done. You guys know what I'm saying. Either acts, sections, whatever. We just need a way to really tell how far into the story we got. Now, off the top of my head, unless I am missing something, I think that's everything I wanted to say when it comes to Amphorius's presentation. I honestly do not think it is that bad, although I will say, unlike other times where people are being so overly negative for no reason, I do think the fact that much of the community is divided on this, I do think that the Honkai Star Rail devs might actually take some of this into consideration for the future story. I don't think they're going to lower how long each story is going to be, because they said it's going to go until basically the end of the year. At that point, it's just like, they can't split it into smaller thing. Unless they do like Honkai Impact 3rd, where they release part 1 of the story in the first week, part 2 of the story in the second week, part 3 of the story in the third week. I guess that is something they could do to help people in that regard. But again, I thought the story was great, but I'm in Honkai Impact 3rd player, so I am used to longer stories. And again, the story is good. Story is very entertaining. I don't think the story was amazing, but again, in terms of overall story, I want to give it a 7 out of 10, but I think the characters, the way they're showing the characters, on the other hand, is like an 8 or a 9. They've sold me on Mighty. Aglaia, they've really shown, even though she is a bitch, she is a very interesting character. Tribi, I hope I said that right. I'm always saying it wrong. Tribi, again, another interesting character. Castoris is just adorable. I love her. And talk about reversed expectations, because I thought she was gonna be like incredibly like cold-hearted or evil, but no, she's so gentle that she wouldn't hurt a fly unless she, you know, had to. I don't know. Castoris is a very, very interesting character, but now I think I really have said all my points when it comes to the story. And again, I think the criticism of presentation being like really bad is like so overblown. It's like, let's be real, it's average, okay? Or if you want to be harsh, it's a little bit below average. I do agree that Wuthering Waves did raise the standard, but come on. 1 out of 10? 1 out of 10 in presentation? That's a little ridiculous. Oh yeah, one last thing. I don't understand why people are saying, oh, they should do like some different camera angles and such for the cutscenes. It's just like, I will admit, at that point, I'm just like, that doesn't change anything to me. But, you know, that's people's criticisms, and that's my thoughts on it. Have visual checkpoints for the story. It would be nice to have better, more detailed character animations. What was the third one I mentioned? A little less black screens and actual like showing of the animation would be nice. Yeah, this is how you know I'm doing this off script, because I forgot my final point. So I'm going to end it off here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And you tell me your thoughts on Amphorius. What did you think? Do you think I'm being too forgiving? I don't think so. I'm just holding the game to the same standards it's basically always been. Now, if you really want me to go into it, I could talk about the power creep of Honkai Star Rail. In fact, yeah, comments down below. Tell me if there's any topic you would want me to discuss in the future when it comes to Honkai Star Rail. Alright, like I said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye!
Data received.